Time to buff. So we've sanded our panel down to 3000 grit, and if you haven't seen that video, there should be a link in the description down below. Go check that out if you haven't seen that already. So this is the part where some it's easy for them, and others it is probably the best chance they have at screwing something up here. We still have to be mindful of our edges, but we also have to make sure that we bring this thing out to a really good gloss. So here's our buffing products. Variable speed buffer, a buffing wool pad, a polishing foam pad, a couple of microfibers, I didn't include that in the first video, rubbing compound and polishing compound. This happens to be the Meguiar's 105 and 205. As I stated in the first video, they do have single component rubbing compounds that all you do is change out the pads, and that'll make it a rubbing compound, and then you go a couple of pads finer and finer and finer, and then you work your way to a polishing pad, and you just use one compound. I don't like it. We're not going to talk about that. So, first thing we're going to do, wipe off the panel, make sure there's no debris on it, and we're going to prep our pad for buffing. Okay, first thing I like to do, whether if it's a new pad or an older pad, is to set your buffer to the absolute minimum, pull the trigger and run it. Now take your spur tool, and just clean your pad off. Now you're ready to rock. So before we jump into anything, because I ran the buffer and the spur right next to the panel, I'm just going to give it a quick wipe. Make sure it's contaminant free. Yeah, good deal. Okay, now if you are new at this, 99% of rotary buffers, as far as I know, spin in a clockwise direction, and most of them have an arrow indicating which way they spin. So it's going to spin like this. When you see me come up to an edge, I'm probably going to tip the buffer this way, and I'm going to buff it very quickly. Now you can get away with being on an edge with your buffer spinning like this because it's spinning off the panel, versus if you leaned it this way, what's going to happen is it's buffing against this edge, and it's going to probably burn it so fast you will not see it coming. So keep that in mind when you're coming up to your edges. Tilt your buffer like that, and if you're in the middle of the panel, it doesn't really matter because there's no danger zones. Now the reason why I like using multi-step compounds is because this particular one, if it'll zoom in, this one says it'll remove the coarsest is 1200 grit. We've sanded the panel right down to 3000, so this will bring back the gloss really quickly. Now, I don't have a small squirt bottle, I just have this big giant gallon, so I'm going to do my best not to be wasteful here. Start off with about that much. Now if you're new at this, set your buffer to the minimum. Don't worry about speeds or anything like that. But once you start to get a little bit comfortable, I like to take my buffer and set it to 1, which is probably about 1000 RPM on my buffer, because I think mine, the minimum does is like 600 or something. I could be wrong. So before you pull the trigger or anything like that, just smear the compound around a little bit. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to kind of do left, right, up, and down, just kind of like a random thing. There's really no rhyme or reason to it. Just kind of, once you start to see the rubbing compound dissipate, stop, add more. But at this point, you don't have to get so picky at which direction you go in. just that quickly, we brought the gloss back. Just like that. Oh, camera was tilted down. So we're not done here. I'm going to add a second round. I'm going to slow the buffer down. Let's wipe that down, take a look at it. And that's just about there. We're going to do a second round. This time we're going to slow the buffer down. There you go. Now you can see it. Now I want you to pay attention when I come up to the edges. When I come over here, the buffer is spinning off the panel. And when I come over here, I tilt it the opposite side, and it's spinning off the panel. You never want to cut into an edge. I promise you that will burn it so fast. So now we're going to drop it down to the minimum, repeat the process. So after 2 applications of our 105, you can see that it has a really nice gloss now, but there's still just some very microfine scratches in it. You have a couple options here. You could swap over to a coarse cut foam pad, further refine it using your 105, and that'll take it down farther. But what I'm going to do is sort of do the same drill. We're going to speed the buffer up just a little bit with the polishing compound and the foam pad now, and then do the second application, slow it down, and really dial it in. So now we're swapping over to our polishing compound, And we're going to be using our black polishing pad. Now, polishing pads don't always come black. They might be white or some other color. It just kind of depends which manufacturer you're buying it from. I've already got a little bit of the polishing compound smeared on the panel. Same drill goes with this polishing pad. Even though it's a finer pad, this still has the same exact danger, if not more, than the wool pad. So keep in mind, the buffer is going to be spinning clockwise. Come clockwise off your edge. Don't ever buff onto an edge. Same procedure, start the buffer a little fast, then we're going to add a second application and slow it down. This time we're not going to wipe it off. We're just going to reapply. And if you start to feel the buffer skip a little bit like you did, change the angle or add more of the polishing compound, because you're either a little too flat or there's not enough compound on there. Just like that. Let me pull you off the stand and we'll show the difference between the rubbing compound side and the side that's been polished. Alright, so here's the side that's just has the rubbing compound done to it. Now it might not be that much of a difference in the camera, but here's the polished side. So you can kind of even catch it in the light. There's still kind of like a little bit of haziness and maybe some scratches. And then you come over to here and it is just a glossy mirror look to it. So I'm going to finish out this panel. We'll take a look at it after that. So here's the finished product, guys. It's got a nice deep gloss to it. And once I finish the rest of the hood, it'll look just as nice. Wash it, put a cleaner wax on it, and then a little carnauba. And this thing will be ready for delivery. So that's it. Color sanding and buffing, 2-part videos, made easy. You don't need the fancy pants DA sanders that squirt water on the panel for you. You don't need those multi, figure 8 buffing cyclone, hoop diddle boat jazz 10,000 whatever. Put in the time, use simple tools, a few selections of sandpaper, a couple sanding blocks, and a rotary buffer. Good quality compounds, good pads. You can definitely achieve this. Hope you guys got something out of it. I'm probably not showing anything new or revolutionary. This is just the way I've been rocking and rolling, and it's been working out for me. So, if you'd like to connect with me socially, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google+, and Tumblr, which all the respective links can be found down below. Do hit that thumbs up button. I would really appreciate it. Subscribe to my channel for more automotive-related videos. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please leave them in the comment section below. And as always, guys, take care, stay safe. Catch you on the next one.